showtime.
It's about that time.
Let's go.
You're right where you need to be. This is GCOM Radio.
Hardest radio station on the planet. Yeah.
Powered by Lyfeblood.com.
We certified.
And hosted by Nova Phoenix.
Give them that flavor.
It's GCOM Radio.
I am one of the flyers
on iHeartRadio.
How am I supposed to know if I should let it go? Tell me, is the answer inside? Maybe I should confess there's an emptiness I just can't hide. Giving all your heart to me, whispering I'm all you need, and I don't know what to say. Don't really feel that way. God bless and love, 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 God bless and love. And I hate the truth, isn't with your love. Afraid of what I might miss, scared of a loneliness. I don't wanna say I gave up, but if I stay with you, then we both will lose. I care for you too much. Selfishly, I feel the truth. Part of me still wanted you, like a kiss that blew away. Wish I could make it stay. God bless and love, God bless and love, God bless and love, God bless and stay. God bless and love, God bless and love. And I hate the truth, isn't with your love. God bless and love, God bless and love, God bless and love, God bless and stay. God bless and love, God bless and love. And I hate the truth, isn't with your love. Like a kiss that blew away, and I don't know what to say. Oh no, no. And I hate the truth. And I hate the truth. I don't even wanna look at you. God bless and love, God bless and love, God bless and love, God bless and stay. God bless and love, God bless and love. And I hate the truth, isn't with your love. God bless and love, God bless and love, God bless and love, God bless and stay. God bless and love, God bless and love. And I hate the truth, isn't with your love. Like a kiss that blew away. And I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Yes. We are back with another episode. This is Nova Phoenix, host of GCOM Radio on iHeartRadio. And you just heard Sidibe with Complacent Love. Oh, how I adore that angelic voice of hers. Oh, man, really, I'm telling you, certain inflections, she sounds like Michael to me. Sounds like Michael Jackson. I'm not the whole record, but it's some ways where she takes her voice. Man, it sounds like MJ. But, you know, all the best to her, man. Shout out to Sidibe out there. Hoping her music journey is being fruitful. So how was y'all week? My was Kahuzul. Not nothing crazy too much. You know, did my thing as regular. Running around doing my usual dillies on the weekend. Went out the fam. I'm taking a little short trip. Going to a wedding with the family. Had to get like suits and return some items. A lot of people shop online, including me. And on Saturday, it's funny. I'm talking to my kid. I forgot how I got into it, but I was like, hey, I don't know why this came out. I said, so I think my kid brought it up. Yeah, I will live with you, mommy, because I'm like, oh, why you gonna live with your mom? Why you want to live with your daddy? She was like, no, daddy, because you, what she said? Because you snore like a leaf blower. I was like, what? Like, feet look at each other. I was like, what you know about leaf blower, how they sound? She get that from, I snore like a leaf blower. So, yeah, no doubt, I do snore like a leaf blower. I do snore. And some people say louder than others, but you know, I'm saying that's just I guess so. She straight let me know, and I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And I'm like, fine, you know, you be with your moms, be with your mother, but you know, but that was a funny thing in the car, man. That was a funny situation. Yeah, sometimes my snoring can get crazy where I gotta sleep on the couch, man. I'm like been banished, and sometimes I'm like more nights than often, and I just don't like that. You know, I went to do the sleep apnea thing, and I just hate it, man. I just hate it. I gotta wear like a stoop. I gotta sound like Darth Vader. I'm like, why? I don't want to do that, man. You gotta hook you up to this air machine. I was like, can they do some kind of minor surgery, open up the airways? I know what it is. It's just, you know, the airway is constricted a little bit, and I already got a big tongue already. And that adds to the sleep apnea. And I know, yes, sleep apnea could be deadly, but, you know, man. And it's not because of my weight, even though I still could lose some weight, and I'm on my way there. Even when I was at my lightest, I was still snoring. You know, as I've been told. I still snore. So it's not weight. It's something, you know, it's just my throat area. So I haven't really made it a big priority. Maybe I should. I knew of a friend that died from sleep apnea many, many years ago. And it was, man, that rocked me, man. I was like, what? He died from sleep apnea? So I do know that it could be deadly. But it is what it is. Anyway, so going on. Yo, I heard about Tank, and everybody knows by now what Tank's saying. And about Tank saying, you not gay if you suck dick. Once or twice. Tank, what were you coming from? What were you come from? You like, let me see if I can suck some dick. Okay. You did it. Wait a second. Let me just see one more again if I like sucking dick. Wait a second. This ain't like drinking coffee. You know what I mean? This ain't like, let me try on these pair of socks, these velour socks. And let me see if I'm really a velour wearer. You know, let me jump in this water to see if the temperature is right in this part of the region of the planet. Oh, slow down. Slow down, Tank. Listen, brother. When you're in this territory of, you know, sucking the phallic, not even phallic symbol, a phallic object, you know, I'm sorry, bro. Once you do that, you have officially crossed over into homosexuality. Yes, bro. And some people are like, well, what are you talking about? You know, he just saying. I'm like, well, you know, I'm not saying it was Tank. He never said it was him, but you know, I'm just surprised he said that. I'm like, once somebody said on my Facebook account, well, sucking dick doesn't make you homosexual, doesn't make you gay. I'm like, whoa, wait a second, let's not spread this around. Because once you start, you know what I'm saying, choking the chicken and blowing it down, hey, man, even on the test factor, you have officially crossed over into gaydom. Even if you don't suck dick again in your life. Because the fact of the matter is, you doing it, you have crossed over the threshold completely. Especially if it's more than once. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know if I quite don't like sucking dick. So let me do it again. Yo, that's crazy. But, you know, I'm not saying I'm not, hey, like I said, you do what you do. I don't care what you do if you're gay. But the very fact of him saying that you can't be, I don't know. I don't see how the gears are fitting into each other with that one. I'm sorry. What next? Oh yeah, shout out to the people with the California fires, man. I heard that's really getting crazy over there. A lot of people have been evacuated. About 97,000 folks have been ordered to leave. They're saying that PG&E has actually shut down a lot of the electricity because of the fires, just I guess to avoid from any more added hazards that may come with the fires getting in contact with the electric wire and the telephone wire or whatever. So they're saying about 940,000 customers their power has been shut down. So it's amazing. I'm seeing what else. I saw something again, and one of the people I know that lives in California that's talking about that is saying that, you know, it's some other nefarious things that are going on with shutting down the power or whatever. So I don't know. I'm not so sure. I'm not from that region, so I don't hear any talk on the ground about anything else that's associated with the power being shut down by PSE&G. But much support and love to the people that are being affected by these wildfires that's happening. It's crazy. And we are going to talk about the Black and Blue review. And I guess we can do it now. We can get started with this Black and Blue review. So I'm in the second segment. I will have the actual interview that I did in this group media interview be a part of the second. I was trying to figure out where I was going to have it, outside the show, in the show. I'll just put it in the show. I went to go see the film on last weekend, so I could give my review. So follow up, we'll just go into the interview with Tyrese, Naomi, and Dion, the director, Dion Taylor, the director of Black and Blue. So what did I feel about Black and Blue? Okay, so I felt the movie opened the audience to know that even in crime-ridden neighborhoods, they're still good people. A lot of times when you do see the hood movies, they always think that there's some kind of a devilish, demonic, people are just all criminals, and that's why the hood is a hood. And it did mention that there are still good people that are victims of circumstance that are kind of a part of the criminal element when it comes to poor neighborhoods. They did mention that, which you want to be balanced in how you do that. I like the fact that, and you can see that reflected in Tyrese's character when he was dealing with the cops. So I thought that was pretty good. There was one scene I was like, are you gonna tell me he's like this, old criminal? Even that gets cliche, old criminal, but it was a good twist to how they had him. It was a simple, just how they showed it. I was like, great, all right, he's just a regular cat trying to do his thing. But I thought the movie was good. I liked the interactions between the various characters, with Frank Grillo, with Naomi Harris, with Tyrese, and all the other supporting cast that built out this movie. There was some cool action scenes. I'm glad it didn't go over the top. It was well made. It was well made. A lot of times people always want to say that, oh man, how this 140-pound woman is going to be fighting this 220-pound man. And I do, yes, I agree. It just, to me, those type of movies just get me. And I can get with it. There's some pretty kick-ass woman fighters. But even as a male fighter, if you're 120 pounds and your attacker or your opponent is double your weight or more, you have to realize the difference in the outcome of the battle. Even Bruce Lee said it. Bruce Lee said it. He knew he was a lightweight cat, and you got to choose your battles when you fight people that are obviously the outcome of a fight can lean towards them depending on their physicality and their stature. So this one was believable. It was believable. They didn't go over the top like she was like wrestled him down to the ground, because obviously it's all about leverage and how you're fighting your opponent that takes him off balance. So I liked the battle. It didn't go over the top. I think Frank Grillo was great as a corrupt cop. I love Frank Grillo. He has such a presence on screen, and to me, I see an action hero in the making. Even if he's not the main character, it could be a supporting character, the co-lead, because he has great presence on screen and he can really transfer or present that emotion to the camera. And that's in all his films. I think he just has to have the right people around him, the right director, the right writer to really do that piece. And he actually did a Netflix movie with the dude that played Falcon in Marvel. I forgot this guy's name. You know who it is. So he did, and that was pretty cool. It wasn't like super fantastic, but for what that Netflix movie was about, because Washington, I think his name was, I don't know. For what that movie was about, it was cool. I don't know why they compared it to Training Day. I would have never compared it to Training Day. I just don't see why they said that. I'm like, oh, it's training. I mean, because it's a rookie cop, because in Training Day, it was Ethan Hawke playing a rookie cop that was cooling out with Denzel Washington. I guess, I mean, I still wouldn't put it in the same vein as what they said with Training. It's two different movies. What else? I didn't think it was too preachy, and it was, and I think to me it stuck with the moving scenes of the flick. The action got me pumping, and I think in like the third act it really got going. I can dig it. I felt it. You know what I mean? Overall, I liked the movie. It was pretty cool. Go and see it. Now, my critique of the film. I think what made people compare it to Training Day was the kid on the bicycle, and it was in the opening scene of the movie when you first see Naomi and her partner, or Alicia, I think her character name is Alicia, and her partner in the car, and you see the kid bicycle. And I'm not giving anything away in the movie. It was in the trailer. And yes, in that aspect, you could say it was Training Day because they did the same thing in Training Day. Now, if I was Dion, I probably would have cut that out. I'm like, because I know Training Day, and when you have all the material in the editing room, and you're gonna reference different films and think about different films, even if there was a test showing, and if anybody said that, and if there was a test showing and somebody said, "Oh, then the kid," I would have cut that scene out. To me, it doesn't take away anything from the movie by cutting that scene. I would have used some other B-roll in the film. Everybody knows it was a rookie cop trying to run away from cops. They gave the premises, the premise of the movie in a lot of different interviews that they've done. But what I would like to see was more meat in between the people that we were getting excited about, that were driving the story. And then I'm talking about like the dialogue, the players behind the scenes pulling the levers as far as why police corruption happens. That I wish I would have seen more of. The politics that are indifferent to human value. Talk about structural racism and how it's interwoven into the system. Like things like that. If they had like a council member or a deputy mayor kind of say some things, like if they kind of interspersed or kind of dropped in certain things that could have had some striking dialogue in it. Not that the dialogue was terrible, but something that kind of links everything, not just make it some one isolated incident of a corrupt cop. A lot of these things are literally have links to, when you go up higher up the chain, and it's systemic problem. I wish they could have went into more of that. Other thing I didn't like, I wish I wanted to hear more from Tyrese, man. I think Tyrese, man, that dude is a raw actor, and he's great, and he's one of those talents that he has the ability to act, but he has to get the right material to really get that kernel of raw talent out of him. I see it. I see the potential of Tyrese, man. I see it, and I wish he had more dialogue between him and Alicia to kind of be an example of that. Because a lot of times, a lot of the things that was happening off camera in his own personal life that was kind of, overshadowing his talents or his ability to do his acting. And people have used it to kind of push him aside, or I guess not push him aside, but not consider him for certain roles. Because so it's funny how certain things outside, off camera, whatever, in your personal issues can kind of affect your professional life. But he has it, man. I'm looking for that right material to see him in. I thought it was a great cast by Deon Taylor. It was great. Nobody would have ever done better or would have given it raw than Tyrese. And they mentioned all these casts. I'm like, nah. I think he mentioned on Power 105. Like, nah, I think he was, Tyrese fell right into that role. But I just wanted more, material. I was looking for that, that pull. And the other thing was, I've been watching movies for a long time, and, I saw certain plot holes. I certain things that I was like, they weren't like egregious in nature, but it just made you think like, why did that? It made you think. It wasn't an anchor to sink the movie. But I thought, again, overall, it was a good flick. In talking to people about police corruption, police brutality, police misconduct, and how they can play out, and how you in Naomi's character, you can try to be, I don't want to say the hero, but make a decision to, as she said at the end, what she said, just to do something different. If you see something that's crazy, say something. And I know it's easier said than done, because a lot of people have been cops for like 5-10 years. And the question is always, when we see videos on camera, so there's cops behind the camera, in front of the camera. And if they're good cops, how come there's no good cops saying anything? And it's a lot of pressure, man. You got to pay bills. It's your job. You got a family. And then there's also the threats too, the side threats. We know that exists. When you're in the locker room, the cats be saying like, yo, don't go home, blah, 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 blah. Because sometimes police departments ain't no different from gangs, man. They just get a check cut from the city. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I overall, if I could say 5 movies out of 5 movie tickets, I give the movie like 3.5. And I say 5 being bring your friends and see the movie, and y'all always see it together. And down to 0 where it's not, you can just stay at home and watch the movie on Netflix, I give it a 3.5. I think it was good. Deon Taylor did a fantastic job. And Deon Taylor has a history now. He's done Traffic, he's done Intruder, and now he's with Black and Blue. And I think it's necessary that we do support this film, because as they say, if you don't support the film, they don't give a reason for the studios to say, well, we don't want to give them money for that. It was a story that needed to be told, as we can see constantly when we're online, on YouTube, on different social media sites, how we see cops acting out of line and crazy, and there is clear and present danger in the streets when it comes to Black and Latino people, when it comes to corrupt cops. And I think this was a perfect movie for what needs to be said, and to drive the conversation. And to continue talking about how we can deal with police brutality in the states, across states in America. So go ahead and see Black and Blue, man. If you don't see it in theaters, rent it, own it. I'll definitely own it. I'll definitely have it in my library. Shout out to Naomi Harris. And one key thing before I go into the first song, Naomi Harris, man, I'm telling you, that opening scene, yo, again, another Michael Jackson reference. She looks like she is a part of the Michael Jackson fam. I swear. Oh my God. Look at Naomi Harris in that with no makeup. And I'm like, damn, she could pass for a Jackson. Matter of fact, if they want to do a biopic or whatever, however you say it, of Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation, I say the first person they should go to, first actress that they should go to play Janet Jackson is Naomi Harris. I'm telling you, she looks like a Jackson. Anyway, that's my personal thought on that. We're going to go into the first song of the show, and that song is When Stalks Circles. Here it is.
Ooh, a GCOM exclusive.
Baby, I don't need much, 'cause when you're beside me, I feel like I have enough. When the world spins us around, when the wind tries to move you, you know I'm holding you down. Oh, time, it keeps it moving so fast. Wish it would slow. But before it passes us by, I thought you should know that it's you I wanted. It was you all of this time, and it's you that keeps running circles round my mind. Yeah, it's you I wanna dream about when I get out at night. Yeah, it's you that keeps running circles round my mind. Honey, you get sweeter with time. You're the song of the summer. Wanna play it back and rewind. Oh, time, it keeps moving so fast. Thought you should know that it's you I wanted. It was you all of this time, and it's you that keeps running circles round my mind. I just want you to know that I don't need much, 'cause I know I got it all. I got you, and the things that I know, the things that I know. It's you I wanted. It was you all of this time, and it's you that keeps running circles round my
This is GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com. Come join, be a lifer. Practice dollar power and build financial independence.
Yes, that was When Stalks with Circles. Loving that song. That brother got talent. You hear that? You can always know when you know someone that has that God-given gift of the voice, man. That brother has it. Yeah. So we're gonna get this second segment going because we got a lot to play for this segment, and of course we have to do business of the week. And for all my engineers out there, you are going to love this part of business of the week. And right after business of the week, we're gonna get right into the interview with Tyrese Gibson, Naomi Harris, and Deon Taylor on this group media call. And part of the reason why I wanted to show or play the group media call, because it's kind of like two birds with one stone, to talk about the movie Black and Blue, and also to support independent black media, which is key. A lot of times the industry may not support films like Black and Blue, so it's also important to create that drive, that energy through independent black media on social media, and let people know that this movie is out and it's good to support. So I will have a list of everyone that was on that call and that was a part of this media, and I think it should be standard with all professionals in the actors business or in the entertainment business, that we have to start reaching out and create those networks with Black media, and we just need that new energy, man. We need that new, how should I say, that new exciting vitality in independent Black media, the people on the come up, because you see the same faces over and over again. And I think these are the new people that are going to be representative of entertainment and media going into this new decade, 2020 and beyond. So check out Business Week, and we're going to get right into this Black and Blue interview right now. Check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, what up, girl?
Bringing you the business of the week and its innovative founders. It's what you've been waiting for.
Traditionally, motion robotics have been created by motors and gear systems like joints on a robotic arm. Actuators are also a part of robotic systems as well. Actuators are devices that produces motion by converting energy and signals in a system. Current actuators are hydraulic, pneumatic, mechanical, and electrical. These actuators traditionally have made robotics heavy, clunky, expensive, and dangerous to users. A new company has made its presence felt in the last few years in revolutionizing actuator design by considerably outperforming the design function of old actuators and becoming safer in operation as well. Its super precision, speed, and ability to stop at the moment's pressure of an egg has upended the entire robotics industry. They call it the live drive electric motor. Welcome, Genesis Robotics. Created by Michael Gibney and James Klassen, they started out as a research and design company. The live drive invention has been promoted to have an increase of 22 times more in torque to inertia capabilities, 3 times more in power density, and 100 times better in higher precision. As years went on, Genesis Robotics grew, and with added roles in executive leadership, creating additional inventions, and partnering with a larger firm, they have taken steps in changing the entire way we see robotics today. Genesis Robotics has taken steps in setting a new standard in robotic performance of the 21st century. See genesis-robotics.com for more info.
I just wanted to jump on really quick, man, before we start and say thank you. This will be our last session. Thank you all for being crazy enough to be spontaneous and impulsive and do this at the last minute. I know it's really early for some of y'all. Me and Naomi, we're over here in London right now, so it's approaching 9 p.m. We have our director, Dion Taylor, on the phone. Naomi is on the call. And thank you for being spontaneous and being a part of this call. And, hopefully you will write something and say something really special about our movie and get all of your followers excited and fired up about going to support it Thursday night, October 24th. Okay, first question, please.
We don't have Nikki Rich on the line yet, so we can start with Sierra.
Hi, Sierra with Sheen Magazine. My question is for Naomi, and thank you, Tyrese, for sharing that with us. I mean, that really makes me feel great about being on the call. But there's so many layers to your character, Naomi, in this film. She's a Black female police officer. Given the climate of race, politics, gun control, and women empowerment, what are your hopes for the discussions that will likely take place after seeing the film? Like, what is it that you hope we will talk about around these topics and the layers that your character portrays?
I think all of those topics, I would love for the discussions to be as wide-ranging and as deep and to go on for as long as possible, really. You know, this is a movie that is meant to be enjoyable and fun and a roller coaster ride that has everybody on the edge of their seats, but it also is a movie that is designed to inspire discussions about things that are happening now that are relevant and important and that people should be having discussions about. But I think the main kind of message that I would love people to take away from the movie, watching the movie, is what Alicia says towards the end of the movie, which is this whole thing of be the change. The fact that the change starts and ends with you. So often we want things to change outside of ourselves, and we look to other people to do that for us. And we don't realize the agency that we ourselves have, and we don't utilize that power. And, you know, Alicia is a wonderful example of how, you know, she wants to see change happen. So she is that change. And therefore she changes a whole community and a whole culture of police corruption within her department, and she exposes that. And I'd love people to take that message away, to realize that, you know, to ask themselves, what are they going to stand up for? What do they truly believe in? What are they truly fighting for? And I think that is the most powerful message of the movie.
Hi, this is Shay Star, Power 107.1 SM and 41 NBC News. This is really just to whoever wants to answer. I know that with, you know, police brutality being what it is right now in our country, what message and what stigmas are we trying to send out to people with the movie? Because I know a lot of times movies have hidden messages. What exactly is it that we're trying to stick in people's mind when it comes to the black and blue?
This is Tyrese. My pleasure for having you on the call. Well, to be honest with you, a movie like this was long overdue. I mean, how many more stories is going to flood our timelines, be all over entertainment radio, the morning shows, and the topics around police brutality, and clearly a criminal justice system in America that don't really cater to the needs and wants or any type of favoritism on any level towards black people and Latinos, which take up the majority of the prison population. So, you know, there was a difference between a role and an opportunity versus something that you're doing from the heart, because myself and Dion specifically, we grew up, you know, well, Dion grew up in the murder capital of the world, Gary, Indiana. I grew up and probably the closest to that, which is Watts, Compton, South Central L.A., where the Crips and Bloods and gang rivals and drug dealers and pimps and hustlers and police corruption and abuse gives you the Rodney King, gives you the O.J. Simpson, gives you, you know, all of these different levels, the Rampart Division, the fact that Tupac was killed in Vegas, the fact that Biggie Smalls was killed in L.A., there's so many unresolved murders where they got proof and evidence. Nipsey Hussle, they got proof and evidence that the police some way, somehow played a role in killing these black men and women of significance. So for me, again, you could have either done a movie and been preachy, or you did a movie where you really take people on this journey that's uncomfortable and unbearable, but yet it keeps you rooting for these characters in this movie on the edge of your seat, because you don't want anything to happen to them, because you love what they stand for. And so, yeah, you know, Black and Blue comes out October 24th, which is a Thursday night, and I just hope y'all use all the power and influence y'all can to get people to show up and finally support something that matters. We've seen enough slave movies. It's about time for us to really do a movie and support a movie for the culture that really represents what we're actually dealing with every day.
Hi, this is Tenai with the Tenai Show. Can I guess, ask my question? So I guess this is for anybody. Tyrese, you kind of talked on it earlier about the power structure, and especially now what we see with the police in our communities, and of course some things that we don't even hear about on the news. Do you ever think that we will get to a point, or I guess anyone can speak to how we can dismantle like the power structure of authority and respect to how it affects like the normal citizen when it comes to police authority?
Well, you know, this is Tyrese, on the earlier call, Dion spoke to how, for whatever reason, us as black people in the ghettos in the inner city, we don't know anything about voting. We don't know anything about registering to vote. We don't know anything about council members or people that represent our actual district or city or community. And when it comes to getting more politically engaged, we tend to tune out. And we're complaining about Trump, but how many people do you actually know that actually voted? For me, I was blown away when I seen 15 million women marching right after Trump became the president. And I was like, well, if those 20 million women had voted for Hillary, then he wouldn't be in the White House. So it's we just have a habit of complaining. And when it comes to complaining, we don't necessarily know what to do beyond complaining. So when you think about the blueprint of the civil rights movement, getting out, marching, walking 50, 40 miles, holding up your picket signs and doing what you got to do, we will, and preaching and chanting, that's one thing. But you can chant all you want. But if these people that are a part of the problem are still in office and you don't vote them out, they will continue doing what they're going to do, not one, but 2 terms. And I think we have to get more politically engaged when it comes to these people that are representing our districts, our cities, our counties, and get rid of these fucking clowns. And that way we don't have to deal with certain things that we're dealing with.
Thank you.
Hey, I got a question.
Hi, my name is Soleil. Hi, my name is Soleil calling from 106.5 Radio, and I had a question for Naomi. My question was, how does it feel to be the first black woman leading a role in a police movie with the support of an actor as large as Tyrese?
It feels phenomenal. It feels phenomenal not just because, this is the first African-American female cop lead movie ever. That's an extraordinary thing, but it was also such a powerful movie with such an incredible message. And then to have shared that experience with Tyrese, who added so much depth, so much personal experience as well to the role, and was able to help and guide me because, I hold my hands up. I'm not African American. I am, a black woman from London, born and raised, and I did as much research as I possibly could into understanding what the experience for Alicia must have been like, as I would do with any role. I want to get under the skin of my character and really, understand fully who she is, how she feels about, the world that she inhabits, what the world looks and feels like. But there's a limitation to what I can do in terms of research. And so it was wonderful to have someone like Tyrese by my side who was able to guide me and to offer insights that I wouldn't have got otherwise. And, you talk about Tyrese being a huge star, and of course I'm very aware of that, but that's not what I felt when I was with him, or whatever, it's not what I ever feel when I'm with him. What I feel is his humanity, his generosity of spirit, and his support and his love. And it's a very rare thing to act with someone who is as selfless as Tyrese. And it's a real privilege. And, he helped me up my game because I knew he was there fully supporting me at all times.
If I were doing a movie about police corruption or Brexit or whatever they're dealing with politically here in the UK, I would have leaned on Naomi. I would have consulted with Naomi. I would have had her to mold and shape any ideals that I could embrace from her, from whatever she was willing to share, so that I was coming from a real place. She's number one on the call sheet. She's the star of this movie, and she is from London.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that she knew specifically, this is what we would do, this is what we would say, this is how we would feel in these type of circumstances, and literally everything else was everything that she did on her own.
I have a question for Naomi. This is Nova Phoenix from Lyfeblood.com, GCOM Radio. I've had so many questions, but limited in time. And my thing is, with Black and Blue coming out on a national level, it starts out like that, but we all know movies are international now. How are people in England receiving the issues of police brutality in America? And what are their thoughts on that matter?
That's a really interesting question, actually, and it's one that because we already had a screening in London of Black and Blue, and I was able to invite all my friends and family and so on, and I had about 20 people there, and we all were so fun after watching the movie and having discussions, and really what everybody felt was just, we all are horrified by what we see happening in the States, because it is on a scale that is truly shocking and extraordinary and depressing on so many levels. But it's no surprise to us, because in terms of we're dealing with a lot of the same issues here in the UK. It's just on a completely different scale. So we have the Black Lives Matter here, Matters movement here. We have marches in support of the victims of police brutality in the US as well. We have those marches here. And we have our own victims of police brutality, like Mazay Mohammed, who was only 18, 19 years old, a completely healthy boy from Liverpool, just in a shopping mall out in Liverpool, suddenly has an episode, and we're not sure what that episode was, but the police were called, and the next thing you know, this healthy 18, 19-year-old is dead in police custody. So we are dealing with the same issues here, and we as Black people, as members of the Black community, feel incredibly deeply and are deeply outraged by what we see happening in the States. But, I don't even want to make it like a Black issue, because it really shouldn't be a Black issue. It's a human issue. The police are there to protect us all, irrespective of our race, irrespective of our gender, irrespective of our age. None of those things should be, taken into account. And so it's horrifying when anybody is abusing their power. And unfortunately, we do see that in the UK, and we are all too familiar with that in the UK. But as I said, it's just happening on a much larger scale in the US.
Yeah, my name is Wesley from WIAN Radio. I appreciate everybody for just taking the time out and letting all of us talk to you and whatnot. But my question was for Dion. I wanted to know how it felt to be telling a story like this, and you yourself being a Black filmmaker. You've been an independent Black filmmaker over 15 years, and I was just wondering what it felt like to be able to tell a story like this and be in that chair.
Oh man, that's a great question. It was I was saying earlier on the other call, just as an independent filmmaker, I was not looking to take any studio movies, just because I have my own voice and I've been carving out my own films and speaking to what I want to speak to for so long. But when the script came along and I read it, all of those moments that are inside of the movie now were not originally there. That was me sitting down in New Orleans with the script and really placing myself into that world, obviously coming from the environments that we come from, and me, of course, coming from Gary, Indiana. I really wanted the movie to resonate and be real. I wanted it to register. I wanted it to be visually stunning. But more importantly, I wanted it to be gritty and a real snapshot of reality in certain moments of the film. And, being able to walk on set and have the ability from Sony where they were like, hey, look, whatever story you want to tell it, was a blessing for me, man. So diving into the movie every day was great because I was able to kind of grab Tyrese, grab Naomi. We were able to have small sessions where we just talked about the movie, moments where we came to set and the script really wasn't what we wanted to say, and we wanted to say it the way we wanted to say it. And really, it was a movie that was made for us. And I think that's what's winning with the film right now, is that it's actually a piece that speaks directly to the culture. It falls right in the zeitgeist of the culture. It's special, man. It's just special. No one could ever make a film that falls right in line or right in timing with what's going on with the country. That's crazy if you could even think that. But the mere fact that we made this film, and when I started production, which is crazy in New Orleans, two female police officers had just been killed there when I was actually prepping the film. And I was like, yo, what is going on? And when I started taking the ride and going around with the police and learning about the history pre-Katrina, post-Katrina, I was just blown away. And it reminded me so much of Gary, Indiana. It reminded me so much of Chicago, Detroit. I was like, man, this is crazy that people are, subjected to this line of black and blue. And for the life of me, man, I remember when I was a little boy riding in the car with my mom, and if the police got behind us, she like, everybody look straight ahead, don't move. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, you know the feeling, and we've been raised that way. And when we made this film, I said, man, first time I really educated myself on why do we feel that way, and why is it that way, and why has that line been like that for so long? And the reality, brother, is it shouldn't be that way. What the movie represents is black and blue, and what Naomi's character represents is someone that blurs the line. She's someone that's saying there should not be black side and the blue side. There should not be a cop versus community. It should not be community versus cop. You should not have to worry that if you call the police, which happened in Dallas, that someone's going to ride over there and shoot somebody. That's what the movie represents. It represents a change. It represents a narrative. And I think the movie does an extremely good job in terms of balancing that line and basically giving you a movie like Training Day and Sicario where you could scream, yell, jump, throw your popcorn, but then at the end of the day, when it's all over, you go like, damn, I got a real message out of that. And the message is really simple, man. I'm going to tell you without giving you a spoiler. The message is be the change. Everybody has to be accountable today, man. Like, if you see something, say something. And what the movie registers is be the change. You can't change everyone around you. You can't change the crazy dude on Instagram with the robot burner account. You can't change all the people that's doing what they're doing, but you can change yourself. And then what happens is that change begins to reflect on other people that are around you. So that's a dope question, man. I appreciate you.
Like me, I say a prayer for the broken hearted. Lord knows my mind's been shattered too. Thinking about pipelines from schools to prisons, and and all the ones that move oil through. What the fuck can I do? None of this is real.
Listen up. Turn up.
You're listening to GCOM Radio.
Appeal right now. I just wanna find my way. Can't worry about another day. None of this is real right now. And I don't see the appeal right now. I just wanna find my way. Can't worry about another day.
Look, I got to stay on my job. I got to stay on my grind. Time is money, love is life. The only two things that can stay on my mind. I've been way too distracted. I've been a little aloof. Fucking with niggas I shouldn't be. I gotta tell you the truth. Who wanted with me? I got hitters with me. I'm a psycho. I know I'm the GOAT. Bad man, I'm just really that bad. Tucking the bread in the stash. Really, it ain't about cash. Really, I'm good if I last. You all on the gram, sitting at home eating spam. Shit got y'all living too fast. Lying and scheming, playing the role 'cause you fiending. Off of retention, and not to mention showing your ass. Clutter don't equal the cash. Really, it's love. Y'all niggas really need love. Pray to the Lord up above. Give him a sign. Drink in the cup. Roll up the weed in the rap. Hit up the homies and dash. And smoke all your problems away. Too high to see anything. Too drunk to notice. Oh, the psychosis. You may be bruised, may be broken. Still gotta focus. Why you so hopeless? Comparing and doing the most when none of this is real. Now you popping pills. Might just make you feel good, but you won't be fulfilled. Devil making deals. Easy as it gets. Focus on yourself. And love the life you live. Ooh. Young man, love the life you live. Yeah. Young girl, love the life you live.
None of this is real. I don't see the appeal right now. I just wanna find my way. Can't worry about another day. And no, this ain't really real. I don't see the appeal right now. I just wanna find my way. Can't worry about another day.
Yeah, that was that beautiful interview with Tyrese Gibson, Naomi Harris, and Deion Taylor. And we fed you music from CJ Mills, talented artist out of Philly, loving it with her song called Focus, and Ex-Girlfriend, The Living Dead. You know, that was, I love that song. Of course, I get into rock, as you know, have I played on the show, but this is more alternative, but I love that song. I love both artists. That's great. But before we continue into the third segment, you know where we're going with the news you need to know. Let's get started.
Ladies and gentlemen, around the world and right in your neighborhood, it's the news you need to know.
UAW strike is over. After 40 long, tiresome days, UAW, United Auto Workers Union, and its member end the strike against their employer, General Motors. A new 4-year contract has been signed detailing higher pay and other benefits. The deal involves an $11,000 per member signing bonus, performance bonuses, 2 3% annual raises, and 2 4% lump sum payments, and holding the line on health care costs. Unfortunately, 3 U.S. factories will close. The deal also worked out for temp workers, giving some paid time off and giving them an opportunity to apply for full-time work after 3 years of being on temp status. The biggest hurrahs were for the health benefits and greater share of the profits for hourly workers. Salaried workers, the skilled trades, focus more on overtime, outsourcing, and dispute resolutions. The walkout was the longest strike in union history. The walkout's effect rippled throughout the country, halting manufacturing plants and distribution warehouses, including hitting the local suppliers that rely on the automaker. UAW Vice President Terry Ditz said the union is proud of the workers. He says, quote, "Their sacrifice and courageous stand address the two-tier wages structure and permanent temporary worker classification that has plagued working class Americans," unquote. Meditation and psychedelics. An interest has been shown with use of known psychedelics to treat depression and anxiety disorders. At the University of Zurich, researchers have conducted studies on mindful meditation and psilocybin, the chemical found in certain mushrooms. They found that meditation can increase the positive effects of the drug. At the University Hospital of Psychiatry, Zurich, 40 meditation experts would meditate on a 4-day retreat. On the 4th day, they were given a single dose of psilocybin and discovered that mindful meditation increased positive results from the drug while counteracting dysphoric responses to the psychedelic experience. After several months, they concluded that trained skills learned for mindful meditation is necessary for the balanced result. In a separate study, use of a magnetic resonance imaging device showed lasting changes to neural connections in the brain, and more specifically in the areas that are active when we think about ourselves. Director of the study and psychiatric Professor Franz Vollenweider says, quote, "Meditation and a single dose of psilocybin can increase empathy and permanently reduce egocentricity. This opens up new therapeutic avenues, for example, for the treatment of depression, which is often accompanied by increased self-focus and social deficits." Interesting. And that is the news you need to know. Yeah, man, that was interesting. Interesting, right? So the reason why I got into it, because it's this subject in the news you need to know, was that, you know, I used to smoke weed. I haven't smoked weed in such a long time for a variety of reasons why I stopped. Smoking weed is not bad as long as you do it in moderation. That the weed culture currently today, to me, I feel it's gone way overboard. And this is coming from, I'm a pro marijuana guy. And before I start this, I want to get this group, and I can't remember the name. Okay, boom, I'm about to get into them. Yeah, I think weed culture is kind of like tipping over the scales right now, because it's so much people that are smoking it, and the people that do smoke it, weed is not what it was as your parents' grass in the late 60s, early 70s, all right, with the flower power movement. It is totally different. The weed here is like galactically much more intense than the weed of yesteryear. And I think it's kind of crazy, man. Listen, this is my thing. Everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. And the weed right now, and the strains that they have, the strains that they're combining and marrying, and then what they're getting from it, and all these different types of names, like, I don't know, winter solstice, I don't know, green electrolyte, whatever they call it weed nowadays. It's like, yo, the weed is so strong, it's known to put motherfuckers on their ass on the first puff. Not even that first half a puff. This weed is so strong. The THC is like 95%. Yo, that's crazy. I mean, how you gonna enjoy weed if you take the first pull and fall head back onto your couch and wake up the next day? It's too powerful. The weed is too powerful, man. Of course, certain weed aficionados like Snoop and Willie Nelson, they've been smoking weed for so long, it's nothing to them. It's like, man, they live in the weed. They are part of the weed. They are born into the weed. I mean, I get that for them. And so it's nothing for them. But for those that smoking the weed now, it's like, God damn, bruh, is this weed? Or look, it's like baking a cake. It's like anything is an analogy. Baking a cake, sweets are great, right? But if you put too much sugar, it's overkill, right? You want to have a nice balance of sugar in the cakes and cupcakes and pastries that you make. Or then you get a sweet tooth, all of a sudden what happens? You get, it hits that nerve right there in that tooth that you've been trying to fix for the longest time. Exactly. It's also like nitro. If you put too much nitro in a car, what happens? You run it too long, what's going to happen? You're going to blow the engine, right? You're going to damage the engine. You have to do it in spurts, whatever. You've seen Fast and Furious. Okay, you get my point. So my thing is, you have to do it in moderation with weed. Now, weed is not what it was, how it was used centuries ago, millennia ago. All right. Now, did people get high at a certain time? Yeah, of course people got high. But there were those that said, no, we can use weed or marijuana as a tool so we could take ourselves on these spiritual journeys and try to figure out what is our next step as this human spirit in this human form, right? Or this living spirit in a human form. And then you had shamans and you had priests, or you had, witch doctors, whatever you want to call them, however you want to call them, took this person that was seeking purpose and said, okay, look, smoke this, boom, this is a ritual, boom, boom, boom. You had the drums going, whatever. And it goes back, let me drink some tea. Across the sands of time in different cultures. It happens in Asian culture, in African culture. The indigenous people that we know as Native Americans on this land, they use weed. So my thing is, we have to understand that how we're using it today is not how people have used it in other spaces. And I think it can be used as a tool. Right now, we're children waving around a shotgun, just having fun with it. And we have to have this shotgun taken away from us, from responsible people that are on the path to say, no, this is not how this is my personal feeling. And said, this is how you use weed. It's the same way how they use peyote and mushrooms. Or peyote, all of a sudden it takes you on that psychedelic trip, psychoactive trip, and all of a sudden you're trying to seek something out. All right, we're not doing that anymore. We're using it as like serious party favors and putting us into a stupor, and we just out into the next day, and be like, man. Or then you have bad trips. And you thinking they're ghouls and ghosts out to get you, and you don't recognize people that you was smoking with. And we had these bad trips. And I think we have to have some sort of focus and structure when it comes to using weed. I also think there's other unfortunately we know the other thing that's happening with weed, or weed's cousin hemp. There's other reasons why they try to criminalize weed, which again, there's the other part of American society that says it's some sort of gateway drug into cocaine and other more harsh drugs, and we know it's total bullshit. But we know it was meant to criminalize black and brown people, it may be way better treatment than the processed drugs that they use now. And, you know, the politics of the whole thing, you know, how is hemp going to interrupt other industries? And I'm sure there's certain people that are glad handing behind closed doors. Certain players of the game is like, you know what, we can't let this go crazy, because hemp itself is, the yield is better from cotton, from what I read. You could get more out of hemp than you can with cotton, and it's a lot more durable. And you could use hemp, the applications goes into everything, like hemp, you know, you could use hemp for create, I think, bottles or something like that, and bowls and all these things, and making clothes and making handbags, making sneakers out of hemp. And it's been done, and it's way better than cotton. So there's the whole political game, financial game behind criminalizing weed and throwing, you know, hemp under that umbrella, which makes it more, it makes it tougher for it to be commercialized. And I just, but back to, you know, how we're using weed, I think it's overboard, man. You know, what I was looking for was Cypress Hills, and I follow Cypress Hills on IG. And, you know, they, of course, you know, they pro weed all the way. You know, they got they weed bowls and the glass, and all different people be smoking like mile-long joints, you know what I mean? Blunts. It's crazy what they do on the page, and I just have a good time laughing over it. But, you know, sometimes I got to sit back and think, we're kind of pushing ourselves over the cliff when it comes to weed smokers. And I think we kind of like scale back, step back a little bit, and say, we wilding right now. It's too much. Let's kind of lower the THC. Let's see how we can use it to balance our inner selves, and take those journeys, man. Take those spiritual journeys, and see how we can give purpose to people. And also, as I said in the news that you need to know, it can also help depression and people with mental issues to calm yourself. And we don't even know the extent of its medicinal purposes. We don't know, because we're busy trying to criminalize it and not being able to let people have it, that we can't even get into those proper testing. Now, they probably have, I don't know, I haven't seen any white papers on the medicinal usages of marijuana, other than cataracts and people with epileptic seizures and all those things that I do know about, how weed is treating people with these medical issues. But we don't know what it can do for people with mental problems. Mental problems is a big thing in America, where it's being swept under the rug. We don't know how that could be implemented and used to kind of handle the mental imbalance, chemical imbalances of a lot of people in this country and around the world. So I think it's overused. I think we kind of like got to be adults about it and say, all right, look, I'm not saying you want to smoke, all right, fine. But we're not going to put ourselves in a catatonic state in like, you know, surrounded by smoke. Let's see how we can use this as any other medical tool, and how it can help people on a psychological level, and with the use of weed. So that's my take on weed. So I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for listening to the show. I appreciate you listening. As I always leave off at the end of the show, please listen to, please go to, I'm thinking of artists and music. Go to Lyfeblood.com, become a member, sign up. Of course, this is about building that network of people, network of friends. Start your passion, whatever it is. Have people donate to you or donate to someone with just $1 a month. Let them know that you're here to support them. And the only way where we can create a community that we want is by looking to each other. Let's get together with our neighbors. Let's hold hands. I'm not talking about in a kumbaya way, but a networking way. Let's meet each other outside, and how can we not only help ourselves individually, but us as a community, and going out there. And maybe when we have someone that's starting, as I said, with Genesis Robotics, and they're really at the ground level, and we see their prototype, we could fund them and get them off on the ground and mass produce it, and it'll be a benefit for the global community. So sign up. If you guys got any questions, you know how to reach me on IG, wherever I'm at. Thank you for listening again. I'm out.
Yo, check it.
You just listened to GCOM Radio, powered by Lyfeblood.com. for the global community.
We worldwide, baby.
See you in the next go-round. From right here to your town, we out.